So quiet in here. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for Monday, the 22nd of April. We welcome all those that are in attendance this evening, those that are viewing at home or streaming as well. We have a somewhat short agenda this evening. We have several items. Predominantly, we have several contracts this evening. We will also recess as a board this evening and take up some business as the City of Germantown Beer Board as well. We'll have a public hearing for a beer permit this evening as well. We have several special recognition awards as well. This evening, our invocation will be led by General Services Director Reynold Douglas. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice Mayor Mary Ann Gibson. Please rise.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Brings us to item number 4 on the agenda this evening, adopting the agenda. The agenda was sent to the public earlier last week, was printed and published on the city's website. During executive session, the board met at 5:30, thoroughly reviewed the entire agenda for this evening. At that particular time, there were no adjustments to the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented to the public?
Move to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Alderman Sanders?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibson?
Yes.
Alderman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Owens?
Yes.
Alderman Yonda?
Yes.
The agenda has been adopted this evening. It brings us to item 5, approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting held on April 8th of this year. There were no modifications or corrections during executive session. Are there any at this particular time? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented to the public?
Move to approve.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Is a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Gibson?
Yes.
Alderman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Owens?
Yes.
Alderman Yonda?
Yes.
Alderman Sanders?
Yes.
The minutes from the meeting on the 8th have been approved. That brings us to citizens to be heard. Item 6 on the agenda this evening. We have several citizens that have requested to come forth to the board and speak. Let me read just the disclaimer quickly that everyone has read and signed and acknowledged that the following guidelines are set for citizens to be heard. Citizens to be heard is designed to gain input from the public and not for immediate responses by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The intent of this agenda item is to provide the public a platform to be thoughtfully heard and not a forum for dialogue, discussion, or verbal exchange with the board. While the board cannot assure each speaker of a specific or individualized future response, the board will consider the public comments and any supporting materials provided by the speaker. Public comments should be limited to 3 minutes per resident. Speakers are asked to refrain from using names of personnel or names of persons connected with the city, particularly when lodging a complaint. Speakers will not be permitted to engage in gossip, hearsay, make defamatory comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. The presiding board chair shall have sole authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who is disruptive or does not adhere to these board rules. So our first speaker this evening, if you would come forward, and you can come to either podium, make sure that the light is green. You'll state your name and address for the record. At that time, you'll have 3 minutes, and you can adjust the microphone for your height at will. The first speaker is, I believe, Ronald Carpenter. Mr. Carpenter, if you could come forward and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes, sir. Is it green?
Nope. There we go. Now it's green.
There you go.
Thank you. My name is Ronald Carpenter. I live at 7954 Neshoba Road in Germantown, Tennessee, 38138. I'd like to take this time to address the Finance Committee report that was sent to the board. April is the month that we pay taxes and comply with Caesar's command to pay those taxes. As most other people, I don't care to pay my income tax to the government, but the government has to have taxes, right? If we don't have the taxes, then the government cannot provide the general welfare of the people. Our founding fathers understand this with an exception. They expected taxation with representation. We as citizens want to be heard about our taxation. If the schools need improvement, raise my taxes. We need more police officers in the street or firefighters in the station, raise my taxes. If pay and benefits for city employees need to be increased, increase my taxes. That I have no issue with because that is the general welfare of the people. Reading the report states there's 31 projects totaling $24 million. This does not include the proposal of buying the Germantown Country Club for $7.2 million. The committee suggests outright buying with deficit spending. When the government suggests to go into slight deficit spending, it is time for the citizens to say no. It is over. Why? Because a tax increase is on the horizon. And guess what? That was the next two suggestions. Tax increases. Purchasing the country club does not help the general welfare of the people. It takes away the citizens' property through taxes. John Adams once said, the moment that the idea is admitted into society that property is not as sacred as the laws of God, and there is not a force of law and public justice to protect it, anarchy and tyranny commence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments to the board this evening. The next speaker this evening will be Wes Talbert. If you could come forward and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
I'm Wes Talbert. I live at 9081 Baynard Loop North, Germantown, Tennessee, 38139. I'm a concerned citizen of Germantown, a husband and a father of 2 children in the Germantown Municipal School District. I'm employed by a technology firm in the Silicon Valley in California. I have extensive education in telecommunications engineering from the University of Mississippi and decision sciences from the University of Memphis. I'm qualified to speak on this issue. We're only beginning to fully understand the adverse effects of radio frequency waves upon our health. The federal agencies, who are heavily manipulated by lobbyists, will have you believe that low-power RF has no effects whatsoever, but that is simply not the case. If you look at scientific studies for 4G and below telecommunications frequencies in terms of cellular towers, which operate between 1 and 5 gigahertz, in those scientific studies, there have been small amounts of cancerous tumors and non-cancerous tumors created. My primary concern in regards to Dogwood Elementary and the cell phone tower is that 5G is on the horizon. 5G technology, which has already been rolled out in some cities, operates between 24 and 90 gigahertz. On the high end, that's 18 times the frequency power of 4G at 5 gigahertz, something that has already been proven to produce some amount of cancerous tumors. My concern for this board, my concern for this city, is what stipulations do we have to ensure that that cell tower is not going to be hosting 5G equipment in the near future. It's being rolled out to every city as we speak, and it is far more dangerous than the technologies before it. Further, let's take the case of the city of Ripon, California, where Weston Elementary School has had four cases of cancer in their elementary students in 3 years. 4 cases in 3 years. They had a cell tower right next to their elementary school. The legal battles are ensuing now, and meanwhile the telecommunications company, which is Sprint in this particular case, they're in year 10 of their 25-year contract, and guess what? They're not going to remove that tower. The health of the children be damned. They just don't care. I'd like to bring to your attention that this contract that's under consideration, how do we know what they're going to put on that tower? Have we asked those questions? Do we know what's going to happen? It's not a question of if any children develop cancer as a result of the equipment that's sitting on that tower. It's only a question of when, I can assure you. And when that happens, Was that really worth the financial benefit that we got from a cell tower being there in the first place? That's what I beg this board to consider tonight as you move towards that vote in the months to come. It is holistically not the best idea for us whatsoever. Now, in all of this, I've not spoken about the negative effects on property values. And the reason I
You have
haven't
5
is...
minutes, sir. Could please conclude your 5 seconds, sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Talbot, for coming forward. Next speaker will be Brian Brannigan. If you could come forward, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If you can come forward and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. Make sure the light is green and you can move the microphone to your needs.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Brannigan. I reside at 1780 Dickens Cove, Germantown, Tennessee, 38139. I have 2 daughters that attend Farmington, but we will be rezoned to Dogwood. I was informed last week that a cell phone tower of 140 feet will be placed right on the playground. I went and looked. It's about 70 feet from the playground, the apparatus that they will be playing on. I moved to Germantown because it's supposed to be one of the best schools in Tennessee. My children have had a very good education. You know, the problem now, of course, is this a safe situation? As the last speaker has spoken, and he's far more of an expert than I am in this matter, there's obviously a lot of concern as to what's going to happen to our children. There's no reason that other locations aren't considered and looked at. I work for SunTrust, the bank, and I know the property values will be impacted quite a bit by this decision. So I would implore all of you to consider another location, away from playground and away from the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brannigan. Next speaker will be Clyde Johnson. If you would come forward, you'll have 3 minutes to speak to the board. Did I get that name correct? Okay, thank you. Just state your name and address for the board. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Clyde Johnson. I live at 8480 Hunters Forest Cove, Germantown, Tennessee, 38138. I am here because of my concerns regarding the 5G cell tower proposed at Dogwood Elementary. Today I went and walked the proposed site. The tower will be approximately 145 feet high. It will take away approximately a half of the grassy play area used by the children. The tower proposed will be erected at the edge of the existing playground, which is used by the children for kickball, tag, etc. Physical activities are needed and important for children at this age. Cutting the field in half will have a negative impact. The proposed site is approximately 154 feet from the children's classrooms. The safe distance from a transformer site can't be established since research hasn't been completed. To many unknowns, research isn't showing any positive health issues, only negative issues. Moving the tower to the far back corner of the school property, approximately 350 feet, or directly into the park would be a better solution. Not a perfect solution, but a better solution. A 5G tower requires smaller devices and/or towers to be installed throughout the city. However, many, 200, 400, 1,000, who knows? The aesthetics of Germantown will be affected, and our city will be changed by these items. People moving to Germantown for many reasons for our city, because it has beauty, codes, restrictions, great schools, and a lot of charm. How will this affect our city, our property values, and our health? I am a concerned grandma, a Germantown resident. I know changes are needed. I know modern technology is needed. I know people need better service for their devices. But please help me understand, at whose expense? Are we willing to sacrifice our children, our family, our friends, our neighbors? Shouldn't safety be a real concern here? When dealing with negative health reportings, are we willing to ignore so much when all that is being asked by so many is to relocate the cell tower off the main play yard of Dogwood Elementary? Is that too much to ask? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. We appreciate your comments. Next speaker will be Joanna Landrum. If you could come forward and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Palazzolo. My name is Joanna Landrum. I live at 1848 Grove Trail Cove here in Germantown, 38139. I come here also to speak against the cell phone tower, DS. I would like to draw everyone's, obviously I'm not originally from the US. We are the only first world country in the entire world that has not acknowledged the dangers of human and animal proximity to cell phone towers. We're the only country, the only government that, for its own self-serving reasons, has not provided its citizens with adequate information. To date, the studies are still inconclusive here in the US. As of last Friday, there's another major study that is showing some very scary results in lab rats with regards to cell phone tower proximity to human beings. I think it is appalling that not enough consideration and due diligence was provided, considering that these are elementary age school children that will be guinea pigged here in Germantown with regard to this tower. From a more self-serving point of view, I would like to state that if my children were meant to go to Dogwood Elementary, I would be pulling them out immediately if this does go through with a vote. I have spoken with many other parents who also intend to do the same, so I think that proceeding with this will be a detriment to the school's numbers, which I know they need. As a person who owns multiple properties here in Germantown, I'm very concerned of what this decision is going to do to my property values. My husband and I moved here. My husband's American. We moved here 9 years ago because of the glowing reputation Germantown has, because of the fantastic school systems that are touted. Everybody outside of this area knows of Germantown's reputation. Perhaps it's forgotten by those of us who've lived here for a long time or who moved here in early adulthood. My husband and I never have. Our tenants move here for these exact same reasons. They come here, they go to Dogwood Elementary, they see this giant cell phone tower right there where the kids are playing. They're going to wonder, what is administration doing? Why is there a cell phone tower there? This is the sort of thing that you will see in, I'm not an elitist, but in an underprivileged neighborhood, not in the city of Germantown. I beg of you to reconsider this contract. Please do not let it happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Landrum. Next speaker this evening will be Mark Hurd, I believe. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I can't make out the last couple of letters. If you want to adjust the microphone and state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Mark Hurd. I live at 8269 Whispering Pine Circle in Germantown, Tennessee, adjacent to the old country club. I've been listening to some real important stuff tonight, but I wanted to come up and let you guys know that that dirt is the only dirt you're going to have available in the center of your city for the rest of your life. I look around at this board, and I was a kid in here trying to get things done for my home, and the only person I recognize up here still today is Patrick. And the point I'm making is we're all replaceable. This whole floor is replaceable, but our dirt isn't. We control our own destiny as a city. That ground has issues, but it has issues that are to be addressed by the population of this city. We have children that are playing overcrowded parks right now. I took my grandson down. Oh, my 3 minutes up?
No, keep going.
And that light going off on their phone. But the point is like the gentleman said, you know, we had some Adams guy bring to our attention that there was an issue when there was nobody out west. He didn't recognize that this country was full of dirt. Well, it's not now. Today in this country, we have a certain amount of ground that's available to us as citizens and as a city. We should take advantage of any opportunity financially, take a little pressure on ourselves, because nobody in this room has ever not bought a house, not having the money in their pocket, And nobody in this room has not made decisions that they knew were going to be tough on them. The decision to keep Germantown's golf course for this city is not a tough one. It's the one that should be made by this body. So, and I feel real bad about that cell tower.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. We appreciate your comments this evening. Last speaker this evening will be Wendy Powers. If you come forward and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Hi, my name is Wendy Powers. I live at 1923 Whispering Pines. I am Mark Hurd's neighbor. Sorry about that, Mark. I'm here to represent our neighborhood. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard. Our city is currently listed as one of the most desirable places to live in all of America. A number of factors contribute to this distinction. One of those factors is our green spaces, parks, and beautiful trees. We have more trees than anybody, but they are mature, they cannot be replaced quickly, and these green spaces throughout our city are constantly threatened by developers, by both housing and commercial developers. And as you know, the Germantown Country Club property is one of the most picturesque areas in all of Germantown, and it has been for many years. It's got mature trees, it's got beautiful landscaping, it has cart paths that can be used for the entire community, not just a club membership. It has been for many years. But it is a beautiful opportunity for a passive park plus other community serving options. In order for this area to continue to fit our historical character, we fully support the purchase of this property by the city for parkland. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking this evening. That concludes citizens to be heard for this evening's meeting. We move to item 7 on the agenda this evening, special recognition. Our first item, item 7A, Beautification Commission Business Award. Alderman Sanders will lead us here. Alderman.
Thank you, Mayor. If I can ask the members of our Beautification Commission, Martha Flanagan and Rory Thweaves, to come forward, along with Andrew Allen, who is the recipient of our award. While they're coming, I'll go ahead and get started. Millstone Market and Nursery provides a wide range of services to a community of garden enthusiasts throughout the Mid-South region. Their nursery business has more than doubled this past year with a team of dedicated horticulture professionals and garden designers who are focused on creating a garden lifestyle destination experience for their customers. The nursery is stocked with a large selection of trees, shrubs, annuals, and perennials, as well as indoor and outdoor specialty and specimen plants. The market features a fine collection of garden containers, fountains, furnishings, and unique garden accessories. Educational programs on gardening are also offered to the public. This business property has been transformed into a destination garden site through the creative placement and display of plant materials, addition of interesting garden art, and a welcoming entrance. The front gates are flanked with limelight hydrangeas and a variety of evergreen shrubs and beautiful hardscape frame the plantings. The level of landscape detail, maintenance, and care of this Germantown property demonstrates pride in their appearance and their commitment to helping our city look beautiful. The Beautification Commission expresses much appreciation to this Germantown business for their efforts, and we are pleased to present April's Beautification Commission Business Award to Millstone Market and Nursery. Thank you again.
Congratulations on behalf of the board and the citizens of Germantown. We appreciate it when our businesses look really good in our city, and that is a benefit to all of us. The next few items on special recognition all involved education. Vice Mayor Gibson will lead us on those items. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. If I could ask Ms. Melissa Sychowski to come forward. Also, Ms. Brenda Dew is here with our Education Commission and will be presenting these awards. It is an honor for the Germantown Education Commission to present the April 2019 Teacher of the Month Award to Ms. Melissa Sachowski. She's joined tonight by her husband Ed, her daughter Lucy, and I see her dad in the audience. Hi, Mr. Johnson. Great to see you. As the much-loved visual arts instructor at Riverdale School, Ms. Sachowski is famous for telling her students, "Show me Mona." With over 20 years of teaching experience, Melissa is the driving force behind the development of the school's fine arts program and creating high-achieving art students ready to take on the rigorous programs at Houston High. Melissa loves challenging, rewarding, and recognizing her students. She helps highlight students' excellence in art by promoting local and regional contests. She's always thinking of new and exciting projects for students and works tirelessly to ensure that their creations are displayed around the school for all to enjoy. Ms. Sachowski is also known for her caring nature. It's one of the things that I love the best about you. She's always got a kind word for each student and genuinely cares about their well-being. She's involved in school fundraisers, coordinates donation of unclaimed lost and found items to groups in need, and serves as student-teacher mentor for the University of Memphis. The April Teacher of the Month Award is generously sponsored by Iberia Bank. Ms. Sachowski, please accept our appreciation for your commitment to Germantown students and to excellence every day. And if I could have Steve Bells come forward. So actually, evidently, the 2019 Youth Excellence Award for April, Mr. Steve Bells, who's a senior at Houston High, he is not in attendance this evening, so we will congratulate him and make certain that we get his award to him very soon. If I could ask Ms. Cassidy Fernandez to come forward, please. She is also joined, it looks like, by her husband and her principal, Ms. Teresa Price. It's an honor for the Germantown Education Commission to present the May 2019 Teacher of the Month Award to Ms. Cassidy Fernandez. Known as Ms. Des at Dogwood Elementary, that family thinks that you are the bomb. That was one of the notes that came to us. You strive to engage your students with fondness for hands-on methods. She can be found making movies, creating colorful banners, or even dissecting grammar in Jell-O for Dr. Day. She changes up seating and uses raffles to create excitement and incorporates technology to push students to reach new heights in learning. She seeks to integrate curriculum in language arts and social studies by teaming up with math and science teachers to create connection for the students. Beyond the classroom, Mrs. Fernandez offers writing workshops before and after school and frequently spends her lunchtime with students in the classroom. Thank you for that gift. She pours her heart into teaching and showing students how much she cares about them. She also leads the cross-country team and the Spanish club. She even plans after-school outings for parents to get together with her teaching team to build community between teachers and parents. The May Teacher of the Month Award is generously sponsored by Iberia Bank. Mrs. Fernandez, please accept our appreciation for your commitment to Germantown students and to excellence every day. Thank you. And Mayor, if I could just note, our students are, this is a very busy time for seniors, especially right now, and our May 2019 Youth Excellence Award winner is Mr. Nick Annawalt, also a senior at Houston High, and he had a previous commitment, school-related, with an athletic banquet. So that is our appreciation.
Thank you. About one more round of applause for all of our winners this evening. Thank you to our Education Commission and to Vice Mayor who liaisons that commission as well. And a final item on special recognition this morning, or this afternoon, this evening, is a proclamation on behalf of the profession of nursing. Do we have any nurses in here or retired nurses? Well, thank you. Thank you for your service. So a city proclamation has a lot of whereases, and whereas the 4 million registered nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meets the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings, and whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for the registered nurses of this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing delivery of primary and preventative health care, and whereas a renewed emphasis on primary and preventative health care will require the better utilization of all of our nation's registered nursing resources, and whereas professional nursing has been demonstrated to be an indispensable component in the safety and quality of care of hospitalized patients, and whereas the cost-effective, safe, and quality health care services provided by registered nurses will be an ever more important component of the U.S. healthcare delivery system in the future. Now, therefore, I, Mike Palazzolo, Mayor of the City of Germantown, on behalf of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, along with the American Nurses Association and the Tennessee Nurses Association, do hereby proclaim May 6th through the 12th as National Nurses Week in our city and invite and encourage all citizens to join the nursing profession in celebration of the ways in which registered nurses strive to provide safe and high-quality patient care and map out the way to improve our health care system. So for the nurses that are in attendance tonight, thank you. That concludes special recognition. We're about to move into Alderman liaison reports. I usually make this disclaimer, and I can see people already know my material. If you are here as a Beautification Commission member, Education Commission member, a recipient of an award, or you spoke during Citizens to be Heard, we welcome you to stay as long as you like, or you may leave at this time while everyone else is leaving. Thank you, folks. While those folks are moving out this evening, we will go to Alderman liaison reports. Alderman Position 1, Alderman Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. The Senior Advisory Commission held its spring seminar, which was a great success. We had approximately 100 attendees, and our seminar surveys revealed that the wide majority were very satisfied with our programming and the lunch following. We want to thank the Police Department and the Fire Department for assisting us in presenting very important topics to the Commission. The Senior Commission will not meet again until Thursday, June the 20th. The Technology Commission met last week, or on April the 16th, and began to look at internet service in Germantown in an effort to see what kind of coverage we have, the services provided from our vendors to our residents, in an effort to give our residents better options, choices for better service. We heard a presentation from AT&T on their investment in the Shelby County area, their wireless network architecture, current capabilities, and their future plans. Next month, the Commission has invited Comcast to present their services by way of internet to the Commission. An update on our Germantown Go app. I encourage everyone to get that free app and begin to use it. It was launched last month. We have, during that first month, over 2,100 users. There was 113 issues reported by our citizens, and 100 of those issues have been closed and taken care of. The Public Safety Commission wants to remind everyone of the National Drug Take Back this weekend, April the 27th, at Kroger on Farmington Boulevard, and Walgreens located at the corner of Poplar and Johnson Road from 10 to 2. Also want to remind everyone, Safety City's coming up. If you have a child or grandchild between the age of 4 and 5, I have some brochures on the table outside. It's a great program, June 10th through 14th, from 9 to 10:30 for those young kids to attend and learn some very important information while they also have fun during those days. And finally, the Beautification Commission will not meet again till on May the 6th at 5:30 at the Parks and Recreation Building, and they will not have meetings for June or July for a summer break. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. Vice Mayor Gibson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neighborhood Preservation Commission will have their tour of remodeled homes this Sunday from 2 to 5. It is a free event. Lots of information can be found on our city's website. There are 4 beautiful homes that have taken something old and made new, and I welcome each of you to participate in that. Lots of work has gone into that. Parks and Recreation Commission will meet this Thursday to review the facility rental policies, sports provider agreements, and the Farmington Park Playground project. The commission won't be meeting in June or July unless necessary, and of course that will be posted. I hope everyone got out for the extravaganza, eggstravaganza. It's hard to say. Lots of eggs. We had a rain date. It went off great. Lots of fun was had. And also the After Dark Egg Hunt. Pam, I want to thank you, Public Works as well. Your staff was exceptional. They worked very hard in the dark. Really a lot of fun. And if you have not gotten out to Oaklawn Gardens, it is a blaze. It is a true, beautiful park that has azaleas that are just putting on a show right now. So I invite everyone to do that. The Education Commission will host the Education Celebration in these chambers on Monday night, the 29th of April at 6 p.m. It is a free event for the public to celebrate those students, those Youth Excellence Award winners that we come to you each month and are amazed at how, at 17 and 18 years old, how accomplished they are, both academically, athletically, all of those things that make a well-rounded student. We will award the Marjorie Reapy Teacher of the Year Award as well, so I invite you to do that. And the Germantown Education Foundation, Mary, you may be speaking to this in a little bit, but the Color Run will be this Sunday as well, and invite the community to come out and be supportive of that. If you don't want to run or walk, you can be a ghost participant. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Alderman Massey.
No report this week, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Owens.
Thanks, Mayor. The Planning Commission met on April 2nd, and I reported about that at our last meeting. The Design Review Commission will meet tomorrow night and will review, among other things, the Focus Sleep Center revised signage and some patio improvements to Southern Social. That's all I got.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Yonda.
Thank you, Mayor. The Personnel Advisory Commission met on April 17th. This meeting served as an information gathering and sharing session with commission members with input regarding trends in the costs and benefits of employer-based health plans and the importance of an accessible, affordable, comprehensive health plan for both recruitment and retention of high-quality employees. The Financial Advisory Commission continues to meet every week, working on the budget still, and tomorrow we review the Germantown Municipal School District budget. The Environmental Commission is actually meeting this Saturday, April 27th, between 7:30 and 12:45, because that is Amnesty Dumpster and Recycling Day. This will be held at the 7700 Southern Avenue Public Works Complex in the Johnson Road Park at 2970 Johnson Road. After you get through dropping off your drugs, just come on over and dump off the rest of your stuff. This is including building materials, concrete, glass windows, tires, limited up to 4 with rims, lawnmowers, gas-operated equipment, grills, clay pots, and more. Bring new and gently used furniture, appliances, building supplies, and housewares for Habitat of Humanity of Greater Memphis. That's the Restore operation who will be collecting there. Electronic recycling and document shredding takes place at Johnson Road location only. Look forward to seeing you all there. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. I think you covered everything that we are allowed to bring. So thank you very much for Amnesty Day and all the other announcements by the board as well. That concludes Alderman liaison reports. We are now in temporary recess as a Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and now we are to meet as the Germantown Beer Board. So the Germantown Beer Board is now in session. We have one case before us. I believe the applicant is here. And sir, if you could come to the first chair on the first row in case you're called later on. This evening we'll have a public hearing for a beer permit for on-premise application for Mantra Indian Grill. Mr. Lawton.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. The city has received a request from SRI Foods for a permit to sell beer for on-premise consumption at the Mantra Indian Grill located at 2095 Exeter Road, Suite 30. Per the city's alcohol ordinance that governs the distribution of or the granting of beer license for on or off premises, the following information is provided, and those are the attachments contained in your agenda material. A beer permit application, the necessary background checks on the applicant by the Germantown Police Department, the confirmation of the zoning to make sure that this location can actually serve beer in that area, and certainly the public notice put in the paper by our city clerk advising the public of this meeting this evening. Based on the information that is contained in your agenda material and the background checks, the administration recommends approval of this application for on-premise consumption.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton. Is there a motion to approve the request of SRI Foods Incorporated for a permit to sell beer for on-premise consumption at Mantra Indian Grill located at 2095 Exeter Road, Suite 30? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I now open a public hearing. Anyone who would like to come forward and speak on this particular application for a beer permit for on-premise application at Mantra Indian Grill, please come forward to speak to the beer board. Is there anyone who would like to come forward and speak on this particular application in front of the beer board for the city of Germantown? Third and final call, anyone who would like to come forward? See no one come forward. That concludes the public hearing portion of this application. Any questions or discussion by the board? Please call the roll.
Alderman Massey,
Yes.
Alderman Owens,
Yes.
Alderman Yonda,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibson.
Yes.
The application is approved. We welcome you to Germantown. We hope that your business thrives, it's successful, and we look forward to coming and eating soon. So thank you, sir. All righty? Thank you very much. That concludes our work this evening as a beer board. We now adjourn the beer board, and we come out of recess and reconvene as the Germantown Board of Mayor and Aldermen. That brings us to item 10 on the agenda this evening, the preliminary agenda. The preliminary agenda was thoroughly vetted, reviewed, discussed, and presented during the executive session this evening at 5:30. Those items include item 10A, appointment, Shelby County Solid Waste Region Board. Item 10B, donation, Germantown Education Foundation, Friend of the Foundation, third quarter. Item 10C, reimbursement, payment number 5, Germantown Municipal School District security improvements. Is there a motion to adopt the preliminary agenda as presented to the public?
Move to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and a second by the Vice Mayor. Please call the roll.
Alderman Owens,
Yes.
Alderman Yonda,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Massey.
Yes.
Preliminary agenda is adopted and approved. That brings us to the regular agenda this evening. Item number 11, contract, Farmington Playground renovations, Phase 2. Parks Director Pam Beasley, I would just remind the board that make sure that you address any discussion through the chair and keep your remarks germane to the application in front of you. Parks Director Beasley.
Thank you all. Mayor, the purpose of this agenda item is to authorize the mayor to enter into a construction contract with Legacy Construction Services for the construction of Phase 2 of the Farmington Playground project in the amount of $433,851, to approve budget adjustment number 19-82, and to declare the existing modular play unit as surplus. The Farmington Playground project has been designed in 2 phases. The Phase 2 request before you tonight calls for the construction of 3 new play zones with multiple play structures, completion of the walking loop trail, a mound slide feature, removal of the existing basketball court and replacing it with a fenced-in multi-purpose sports court to a new location in the park. Removal of the old modular play structure is also included in the scope of work. As explained in your agenda packet, the department has worked with the community leaders, school officials, citizens, and the Parks and Recreation Commission in making sure that this final phase of the project meets current needs. The city implemented our standard bid process to secure bids as identified in the information provided to you, with Legacy Construction Service being the acceptable low bidder. The amount requested for the base bid is $429,451. Staff is also recommending accepting alternate 4, indicated in your packet, in the amount of $4,400 to demo the existing play structure. The advancement of this project supports the Germantown Forward 2030 goals of creative placemaking, as well as our continued commitment to school park partnerships. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Parks Director Beasley. Is there a motion to approve a contract with Legacy Construction Services for the construction of Phase 2 of the Farmington Playground Project for the base bid and alternate number 4 in the amount of $433,851.00 to approve budget adjustment number 19-82 and declare the existing modular play unit as surplus? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
A motion. Is there a second?
Second.
So motion and a second. Vice Mayor, would you like the floor?
No, sir.
Alderman Owens.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. As you recall, I asked this in executive session, and I'll just repeat. We did receive an email questioning the contractor and some of the issues that we experienced in Phase 1, and Pam, you did a great job in answering what some of those issues were. And would you mind just real briefly, Mayor, could we have...
Director, if you could go ahead and go over a synopsis form, some of the questions that were in executive session and give us an overview of Phase 1.
Certainly, Mayor. As noted earlier tonight, we did discuss the challenges in completing Phase 1 of the project. These included outdated information on many of the utility locations. You know, a big part of this project was actually addressing the ongoing drainage issues at the park, and so utility lines that we had maps for, those lines didn't exist on those maps, and so the contractors actually had to end up hand digging some of those drainage trenches to complete the work, along with many delays, many rain days and or wet ground caused work to be at a standstill for weeks and actually a couple of months. That said, I must note that the quality of work of this company, their efforts to stay within our budget, even though unexpected drainage issues that they had to work through, they were very responsive and resolved any of our problems that did not involve weather or wetness, and they provided us, and they continue to provide us with a comfort level for this next phase, as they are very familiar with the site at this time.
Thank you. Further discussion? Go ahead, Alderman Owens.
Yes, and we also discussed this, but just quickly, the contractor did perform the work to our standards, and this is a three-part question, so I'll just fire them off.
Yeah.
And there were no change orders, and they essentially have asked us to have done everything we asked them to do with regards to the work.
Is that affirmative on those questions?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this particular item? Let's go around the docket, Vice Mayor, since you passed a moment ago.
No problem.
Alderman Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to confirm for a resident that contacted me that the work will not start until school is out. Demo will not begin until they're ready to begin the full construction, allowing residents that live in that neighborhood this summer to have full use or as much use of that park as they can.
Is that statement accurate?
Yes, sir. We will not do any construction until after school lets out. There may be some time during the summer that portions of the playground could be closed as we're putting in new equipment, but we're going to do all that we can to make sure that that playground is accessible.
Okay, thank you. And also I had a question from a few of the residents about the new multi-purpose court. Will that include a basketball goal? And is it a full-size court, or can you tell us what that court
Sure.
consists
Do you want to describe what the multi-purpose court will provide for the children of the school and that neighborhood?
Certainly. So the multi-purpose court is designed to for users to have the ability to play basketball, futsal, which is a form of soccer, volleyball, pickleball, foursquare, and any other sport court space that you might think of. We're actually designing it so that Farmington Elementary will have another option for almost a second outdoor gym, if you will. It will be fenced in. At this time, we haven't determined what size the goals will be, but the Park Commission will be weighing in on that and make a determination soon.
Thank you. Any other questions?
The renderings that we saw earlier appeared to have basketball goals, and those are still in the plan?
I believe that was just mentioned, yes. Yeah, determined on height and that type of thing, but yes, that answer was yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this particular item? Vice Mayor Gibson.
Thank you, Pam. You mentioned that the asphalt is being poured today.
Go ahead, Parks Director.
That is correct.
And that would be on the trail that's in phase one, the walking trail that encompasses most of the park. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion on this particular item?
Sure, Mayor.
Dean? Yes.
Director Beasley, to Alderman Sanders' question about these basketball goals, is there any way we could postpone this decision until we have some more definitive answers about the plans themselves? I think Alderman Gibson said that she is going to be discussing this very issue of Farmington Parks with the Parks Commission at her Parks Commission meeting this Wednesday. And it might be beneficial for us all to hear the discussion about what is actually going to be planned before we take a vote on the development contract itself. If any other alderman would be interested in postponing this until our next meeting so that we can get some more input from the citizens on this issue and get some guidance from Alderman Gibson and her commission, I think it would be very beneficial to me. I would certainly like to hear some more commentary because there's been a lot of division, I would say, among the neighborhood itself about what the right direction is for this park. And as of today, it seems like we don't have clarity on exactly what we're going to be doing regarding one of the most controversial issues in the park. So I just feel like if we could take a step back and get some more input, discuss this a little bit more, we might be able to find a compromise that everybody can agree on. So is there any agreement, Mayor, from the board to possibly
Would you like to put that in the form of a motion? Would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to postpone this vote until the next BMA meeting.
There's a motion on the floor to postpone this particular item, item 11, until the next regularly scheduled Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it just so we can have some discussion.
It's been properly motioned and seconded. Discussion? Alderman Sanders?
Just to Alderman Massey's statement in reference to the Parks Commission meeting to talk about it, I'm not sure exactly what Alderman Gibson was referring to, but I'd be interested in hearing how that might impact this, if at all.
The Parks Commission has a regularly scheduled meeting, and they have a set agenda at that particular time. I think there would be discussion. I think it'd be premature to try to discern what that would be without the other 8 or 9 members or the chairman here as well, but they have that on their agenda. Parks Director?
Mayor, if I might offer this for more information, just to clarify, the design has been approved and has been in place for quite some time. It was actually a part of the master plan, so there won't be any discussion about the design of the park and what elements in the park. What the Park Commission will do per their authority and obligation is to be setting the hours of the park and the rules of the park. The design has already been vetted through all of the proper channels.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
So, Mayor, does the charter call for, or do we have in our ordinances times already set for our parks?
We do have, Parks Director, we do have ordinances that, I'm not sure what the times are, but that is correct. Is that?
That is actually one of the responsibilities of the Park Commission, is to set opening and closing hours for all parks.
So are you anticipating an amendment to the ordinance then for this specific park, or is it just a recommendation from the Parks
I
Commission?
believe the Parks Commission has the purview to set policy guidelines and rules for park usage. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay, so our current hours aren't set by ordinance?
Are they set by ordinance or just by policy and guidelines?
By policy and guidelines by the Park Commission.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion on the amendment?
Sure, Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Massey.
I think my recommendation would be to take this issue up at the next Parks and Recreation meeting. Go ahead and discuss that as part of the agenda item that is identified as Farmington Parks. Get some guidance and input from the commission members and from Alderman Gibson, and possibly give a written synopsis of what the Parks Commission concludes. I understand that the design has already been approved by the Parks Commission members, but that doesn't mean it can't be revisited. If I remember correctly, once we approved the initial plans, there was some amendment to that plan after the Board of Mayor and Aldermen looked at it. So if it was changed then, I don't see any reason why we couldn't at this stage go back and take a second look at that and come up with solutions that might work for the people in that neighborhood. So I would like for you to consider discussing that at the Parks and Recreation meeting. I would like to get some support from the other members of the board, if you don't mind.
Further discussion on this particular item on the amendment?
I would like to
Vice Mayor?
just a comment. I see absolutely no reason at all to defer this vote for this particular amendment item. The conversations that the Park Commission will have, whether it's at the commission meeting or if they have a subcommittee, they will do it just as they always have, which is to garner input from residents. They have I believe, fully vetted this during the design stage, and so I don't see a reason to defer this vote for this particular item.
Alderman Owens?
Sure. I mean, I guess I would just offer that I think this is squarely on the shoulders or within the purview of the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I would, I mean, I have full faith in that body. I would feel a little bit reluctant to wade into or set a precedent by interfering with the decision-making policy, especially the minutia of details of that board. And so I don't believe that delaying this is going to assist in that, and that would be my thoughts.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll on the amendment, please.
Alderman Sanders?
Mayor.
No.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
Can you restate the question for us, please?
You made a motion to postpone this particular vote until the next regularly scheduled Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. That was what was brought forward and properly seconded by Alderman Sanders. That's what the roll call will be on.
I believe you said amendment, but I just wanted to clarify.
Motion, sorry.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Gibson?
No.
Alderman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Owens?
No.
Alderman Yonda?
No.
The motion fails. We return to the original motion on the floor. That's to approve a contract with Legacy Construction Services for the construction of Phase 2 of the Farmington Playground project for the base bid and alternate 4 in the amount of $433,851 to approve budget adjustment number 19-82 and declare the existing modular play unit as surplus. Any further discussion?
Sure, Mayor.
Alderman?
Mayor, Director Beasley, I'm a little uncomfortable with voting yes without having the additional information. At the same time, I don't want to also vote against it. You know, I want to improve the project for the kids, so I'm going to be voting yes tonight, even though I would have liked to see a delay until the next meeting and gotten some more information. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Alderman Yonda?
Yes.
Alderman Sanders?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibson?
Yes.
Alderman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Owens?
Yes.
Project moves forward, and hopefully it'll be done in a timely fashion, Phase 2, and then the park will have a grand opening, hopefully, and coincide with the school year as well. That brings us to item 12 on the agenda this evening, contract, Safe Routes to School, Phases 1 and 2. Mr. Lawton.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. Several years ago, the city became aware of a grant opportunity through the Tennessee Department of Transportation entitled Safe Routes to School. As many of us know in this area or regarding this, that if you live within a mile of any of our schools, that you do not have bus service, and therefore either parents must bring the children to school or they walk, ride their bikes, whatever it might be. We applied for the Safe Routes to School grant, which is a 100% funded grant by TDOT, and we were successful in receiving both Phase 1 and Phase 2 funding for this project and allocated those dollars in the city's capital improvements plan. However, conversations back and forth with our friends at TDOT, the overall cost of the project increased, at which time, thanks to the efforts of Mr. Gwaltney, TDOT agreed to fund those additional improvements for this project. Phase 1 and 2, the grants that we received, are specifically for the Riverdale School area, and included in your agenda material is a proximity map that shows the school, and it shows a 1-mile radius around the school and the various improvements that will be made. It shows what's already existed in terms of sidewalks and bike lanes, but yet that's an area where there's still quite a bit of work to be done to improve the overall accessibility for our kids who walk or ride their bike to Riverdale Elementary School within that mile radius. Staff worked very closely with our design firm in terms of determining what needed to be done, whether it was sidewalk work or bike lanes, to get kids in that 1-mile radius to Riverdale School. TDOT finally, again, we started this process in 2016 because of the costs associated with it and because we had received 2 of the Safe Routes to School grants from TDOT and also the overage associated with that. They instructed city staff and our engineering department to bid the project as one project. In other words, look at all the work that needs to be done, but bid it out in one project as opposed to a Phase 1 project and a Phase 2 project. We received 4 bids for the project, and we are recommending the low bid that meets specifications. If you note on your agenda sheet, at the top of page 2, it said documentation was sent to TDOT requesting their concurrence to award a construction contract to GCM Inc., and we said TDOT concurrence is expected before tonight's meeting. I'm happy to report that we have received that. Because this is a TDOT grant, the city will cash flow the project, but we will receive 100% reimbursement from TDOT. These are TDOT funds, and they're going to be very particular about granting concurrence or awarding of the contract to the contractor itself, one that they deem to be responsible, and also to look at all the other provisions associated with the contracting requirements, whether it's the contractor's license that would appear on the outside of the bid documents, and then everything else associated with the bidding process. These are open, competitive public bids, and there was a low bid from Irby Price doing business as P&E development contractor. However, it was deemed non-responsive not only by the city but by the Tennessee Department of Transportation because they did not use the proper TDOT form in terms of their bond document. So therefore, we are recommending the low bid that meets the specifications in all of the city and TDOT's requirements and our purchasing requirements from GCM Inc. Construction. I'm available for questions, and Mr. Tim Gwaltney, our city engineer, is here as well if the board has questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton. Is there a motion to approve a construction contract in the amount of $754,160.50 with GCM Incorporated for construction of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Safe Routes to School project? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. A motion and a second. Vice Mayor, would you like the floor?
I would, thank you.
Go ahead.
I want a couple of thank yous. Tim Gwaltney, I appreciate all of your efforts. This has been for 3 years. We're all very familiar with the speed at which these things go, like a turtle. But this one felt particularly slow. And so for you to be able to bring it back to us in a way that really accomplishes both phases at once, much appreciated. The other thank you would be to the Riverdale parents. Many of those folks were instrumental, I believe, in helping us attain this grant. They wrote letters and emails on behalf of the project for the families that live in that 1 mile radius around the school, that parent responsibility zone, this will very much impact their walk to school every morning. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, on those kind comments on city engineering. Alderman Yonda, would you like the floor?
Yes, I just want to ditto that. Thank you very much for your work on this. Timing's perfect. My granddaughter starts there next year.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this particular item?
I have
Alderman Sanders.
I understand the Irby Price, or I believe his name's Price Irby, issue there, but is there no provision or acceptable way, if they just used the wrong form, that it could be corrected? I believe that bid was quite a bit lower than these others.
Mr. Lawton?
The answer to that is no, Alderman Sanders and Mr. Mayor. We have seen when we're dealing with TDOT projects, they're very strict in being open and honest and treating everybody the exact same. So if they request things come in on a certain form, it needs to be on a certain form. We've had contracts rejected before by the state where the contractor's license, for example, was not clearly stated on the outside of their envelope when they submitted that to procurement for an open and public competitive bid. So my answer is no.
Okay, thank you very much.
Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Alderman Sanders.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Massey.
Yes.
Alderman Owens.
Yes.
Alderman Yonda.
Yes.
We are very excited on that particular approval. The administration thanks the board for its support, and I know GMSD also echoes that support as well. Brings us to item 13 on the agenda, contract signal upgrades. Mr. Gwaltney.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approval of a construction contract with DeSoto Electric in the amount of $1,059,753.40 for signal upgrades at three intersections, and to approve budget adjustment number 1978. The city requested and received surface transportation program funding through the Memphis Metropolitan Planning Organization for this project. STP funding for signal projects is 100% reimbursable. The three intersections included in this project are Poplar Pike at Hacks Cross, Poplar Pike, Germantown, Arthur Road in Old Germantown, and also Poplar at Kirby. The upgrades to the intersections will include mast arms, video detection, emergency preemption, updating of obsolete signage and obsolete pavement markings, and the installation of ADA compliant ramps. Upon receipt of the notice to proceed to construction from the Tennessee Department of Transportation in early March of this year, the project was immediately publicly advertised for construction. 3 responsive and qualified construction bids were received by this office on the due date of March 28th, with DeSoto Electric providing the lowest bid in the amount of $1,059,753.40. After review of the bids for accuracy and completeness, staff submitted the bids, all of the bid documentation to TDOT for their review and concurrence for the city to award the construction contract to DeSoto Electric. That concurrence from TDOT was received on April the 8th. Staff respectfully recommends BMA approval of this construction contract and with the approval of budget adjustment number 1978, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gwaltney. Is there a motion to approve a construction contract in the amount of $1,059,753.40 with DeSoto Electric for construction of signal upgrades at 3 intersections and approve budget adjustment 19-78?
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion by Alderman Owens, a second by Alderman Yonda. Alderman Owens, would you like the floor?
No, thank you.
Alderman Yonda?
Can I just hear you say 100% reimbursable again?
100% reimbursable. Alderman.
Thank you, that's all.
100% reimbursable. I'll echo that. How about that? Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Massey.
Yes.
Alderman Owens.
Yes.
Alderman Yonda.
Yes.
Alderman Sanders.
Yes.
Thank you.
3 new intersections. Thank you, Mr. Gwaltney. We have reached the conclusion of this evening's, it has been adopted by the board. We have reached the conclusion of this evening's meeting. I'd like to thank our officers, Ed, Al, Eric, and George. We are adjourned. Thank you.